Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern, Ned Reynolds, back in the studio Tuesday morning, and we are to that day dreaded by rookies and walk-on players all over the country. It's cut day. So what do you think is going to happen for the Chiefs?
Well, they've already made some, but they were expected cuts, players who really weren't going to go anywhere. And actually, Mike, when you take a look at it, their roster is subtraction by addition. If you can do that, the Chiefs have added 2 players on cutdown day. Well, actually, a day prior to that. Here back with the Chiefs is Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver, who was let go last year, became a free agent, and picked up by the New England Patriots and didn't do a thing for them. I think he caught 29 total passes, around 200 yards. Big disappointment, and the Patriots cut him not just recently, but 2 or 3 weeks ago. They let him go. Oh, my goodness. Well, the Chiefs get him back, and we'll explore why in just a second. They also got an edge rusher named Cameron Thomas from the Arizona Cardinals. Got him in a trade late last night for a 7th-round draft choice. Why? Well, leads me in both cases to believe that the Chiefs are trying to add depth to their roster. Smith-Schuster, of course, knows the formula. He knows what they need to do, and he can add backups to some of the other individuals. I'm interested to see who they cut today. And the edge rusher, Cameron Thomas, I have to think that maybe there's some injuries that we don't know about, or some players who have slowed up, like Chris Jones with that groin injury. These may serve as backup players. I'm guessing that. I don't know it, but the rest of the team will be down to the 53 players and the 16 taxi squad members today.
I know you're excited. It's one of your favorite events in sporting every year. U.S. Open just got started in New York City. What's the action been like so far?
Mostly female players yesterday, and of course all the top seeds. Coco Gauff is the top seed among the ladies. She got a win. Madison Keys, who has always been for the last about 4 or 5 years now an up-and-comer and never gotten to the top yet, but she won. An interesting name that you might not recognize, Victoria Azarenka. She is, of course, from Czechoslovakia, from the Eastern Bloc countries, but she lives here in the United States, and she is a former Springfield Laser one time, and she's a good player. She got a win, and on the men's side, Novak Djokovic, who is seeded second in this competition. Yannick Sinner is the top seed, but Djokovic did get a win yesterday. Competition continues for the next 2 weeks, and you're right, this is one of my favorite events.
I know you're a big tennis guy, and I'm excited to hear all about it because I don't follow it as closely as you do, so you can keep me in on it. We got some pretty good college action this week. As far as the football stuff goes, on Thursday, what should we be watching?
Well, it is a 3-day. It's because of Labor Day, and the NCAA allows a stipend in there for individuals who want to open early. So there are a lot of games, not a huge number, but a lot of games on Thursday night, a few more on Friday, including my alma mater, which will open its season on Friday night. Open it in Norman, Oklahoma. No, thank you. Temple and Oklahoma, that just doesn't match up. Anyway, that's Friday night. On Thursday night, Missouri opens their season. They're playing Murray State from the Missouri Valley Conference. Arkansas would open up. They're playing Arkansas Pine Bluff, and that game will be down in Little Rock. North Dakota State, gang, is the many time, I believe it's 11, but I'm not 100% certain on that, national champion of 1AA and a colossus in the lower level college football. Who do they open up with? Deion Sanders and company out in Boulder, Colorado. It would be North Dakota State against Colorado. North Carolina plays at Minnesota in Minneapolis, and there are several more coming up on Friday. Most of the games Saturday, Sunday, and Labor Day. No pro football, folks. It's a week off for the pros before the Chiefs open up things next Thursday night.
And you know my heart's going to need the break before we get into the regular season, especially that blood pressure as we get closer and closer to the start. The start of July, the Kansas City Royals were like 9 games back behind the Guardians, and yesterday they're in Cleveland for a doubleheader. And man, Salvi just handed it to him, dude. I listened to most of those games yesterday because I had a lot of stuff to do, and it was awesome to hear it. And now they're just 1 game back from the Guardians.
They are indeed 1 game away from first place in the American League Central Division. It's not the first time they've been 1 game back. They were a couple of weeks ago and then went into a little bit of a tailspin. Philadelphia beat them twice, and they fell 3 games back. But Here's a pivotal day-night doubleheader in Cleveland yesterday, and the Royals swept it. Won both games, 4-3 in the opener. That was at noontime. Bobby Witt had the game-winning home run in the 8th inning, put the Royals up 4-3, and Kansas City held on. Second game, as Mike mentioned, Salvador Perez, my goodness sake, the final score is 9-4, and Perez is responsible for 6 of those 9 runs. He had 2 home runs, one of which was a grand slam, and the Royals folks are on fire. 1 game back. Minnesota Twins are only 2 games back. They're right there in the hunt. But how about this? This is shaping up as a great race. We're going to see how mature Kansas City is. They have a couple more games in this series remaining, but a doubleheader sweep of Cleveland, and that has to leave the Guardians thinking, hey, what is this? Who are these people? Get them out of here.
Well, go Royals. And it's been, like I said, fun season for me to watch those guys do what they've been doing. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like the Cardinals are just kind of going through the motions right now?
Played the Padres last night. The Padres are really good. They've got a lot of power on their ball club, and their pitching is adequate. I wouldn't call it great, but it is adequate. And the Cardinals just they take one step forward and then take another step or 2 back. They're kind of treading water is what it looks like. Padres won last night 7-4. Manny Machado had 3 RBIs, including a 2-run homer in the first inning. And that it kind of set the stage for things. Kyle Gibson gave it up. But 7-4 was the final Padres win. Now the Cardinals lost a half a game because Milwaukee didn't play, but it's 10.5 that they're back at first place. 10.5 and 5.5 in the wild card berth. The problem with the wild card is there are 3 other teams ahead of them, and they've all got to lose, and the Cardinals win. It's a daunting task for them right now as we approach the start of September, but hey, stranger things have happened. We'll wait and see.
We will. Also, I see that you brought in your big old dusty old book of facts. What happened on this date in baseball history?
Well, the date was yesterday. and this, Mike, when you think about it now, think how old baseball is. This is the first time in Major League Baseball history, and that dates back to the 1880s, for heaven's sake. Well, what it was, it's the first time in history that a player has competed for both teams in the same game. Now, wait a minute. How does this work? Played for both teams in the same game? Well, it's a technicality, but this is what happened. Back in June, in the middle part of June, the Toronto Blue Jays were playing the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. A fellow by the name of Danny Jansen, who was doing the catching for Toronto, came to bat, top of the second inning. He's up there, takes a strike, and then the heavens opened up. And it came down in a gusher and lasted most of the night. Umpires had to call the game. There's a rule in Major League Baseball. If nothing has been decided in the first few innings, you pick up the game from that point. They suspended the game, didn't rain it out and start it over again. They suspended it. Well, the next time the Blue Jays were in was yesterday. In the meantime, Danny Jansen has been traded from Toronto to Boston. He's playing for the other team in this at Fenway Park. Wait a minute, how's this going to work? He was up to bat when the game was rained out. Well, obviously he couldn't play, so they sent in a pinch hitter. He's the catcher. It's the first time ever, and technically it's the same game, first time that the same player has played for both teams. Never has happened before.
That's crazy, and all this time, the first time it's actually gone down.
First time. And now there have been situations where a player has been traded
during a series
and then walked over to the other locker room, but
not
never in the same game.
Well, Ned, you try and stay cool today, and I will see you tomorrow.